So, and all right, yeah, so it is live. Whoop, better pause it there. Okay, so you ready to start, Chris?
Yep,
All right, so what's up, everybody? Blood Moon Bobby here. Happy Blood Moon anniversary. I'm
I'm doing well. And what about yourself?
good, good, good. I had a pretty good day so far. Just the audio here. So yeah, yeah. This is actually the first time I've gotten to see your cosplay in a chat. I know that you sent me a picture earlier back when we were talking about doing this chat. Yeah. So we're both dressed as Bloodman Marcos. Who made your cosplay?
Well, I ended up getting assistance with some of it. Uh, for example, like the hat.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered some of it from like Easy Cosplay, but
Mm-hmm.
I ordered it bigger just to make sure that in case it didn't fit properly, I could just have it like adjusted. And so that's what I ended up doing is thanks to one of my friends. Her mom ended up adjusting whatever was like a little bit too much. Well, at least in the pants area, this fit just perfectly fine. The
Mm-hmm.
hat, on the other hand, wasn't as wonderful. She had to
Um.
literally redo the whole thing herself and adjust it to like fit me, and it works perfectly. So I'm grateful that her mom is like a seamstress. So otherwise, I would have not gotten away with that under short notice.
I see. Yeah, well, certainly looks great. In my case, like, I'm really like pleasantly surprised. Like, this is basically the work of my sisters. She basically found like a hat that was lying around and was able to turn it into the red sombrero that Marco wears. The suit I'm wearing is one of my folded up suits. Believe the mask is made of paper mache. She would be a much better person to tell. But yeah, I remember going to her. I think I was saying, oh, it would be cool if I could cosplay as Blood Moon Marco, and I wasn't sure. Not that I doubt her. It's just that I haven't seen too much of her like sewing work. But I was like surprised the way this cosplay turned out. So how long have you been doing cosplay, Chris?
I started, I want to say like the first time I believe it's maybe 2019 because it was the first time I decided to cosplay. I had literally gone to Anime Expo for like 2 years consecutively, and then I just decided to tell my sister, "Hey, maybe we should actually cosplay something from some show." And it just so happened that at the time I had just finished watching Star, and well, she just happened to catch up at the right possible time where Mariposa was introduced. So
Mm-hmm.
she was actually up to dressing up as Mariposa as her Mariposa.
Oh,
So that
from
was the
the
first time I actually, yeah,
yeah,
from
so
that
from the
that
Never
one
Zone.
episode. Yeah,
Cool.
but I did that was the first time I dressed up as Marco in general, and it was actually pretty cool. I actually ended up meeting uh one star and maybe like three or four eclipses, surprisingly,
Oh,
at the time. I had seen, and then from there on, that was just Anime Expo specifically. So that was the first time.
yeah. So it's interesting in that it's one of the so Blood Moon Marco coincidentally was one of the first cosplays that each of us did. Were you surprised by the turnout of Star versus cosplayers at AX?
Yeah. Um, well, the thing is, when you go to an anime con, you don't really expect anything non-anime to show up, but surprisingly, it's just a little of everything. It's, I guess it's what even happens at, like San Diego Comic-Con. There's an abundance of different cultures in there and people dressing up to, cover each one of those interests. So in the case of Anime Expo, I'm like, oh, I'm only expecting like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, anything related to anime at that time. And now, surprisingly, sometimes people dress up as Disney characters. I mean, I even saw like Kim Possible, somebody dressing up as Kim Possible there too. So it's it's not just specifically for anime. It's a convention for anybody who wants to cosplay and anything. But yes, it is very heavily anime focused. Although the merchants who sell you stuff like pins and charms and shirts and everything don't specifically have to adhere to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I've had a pretty similar experience. I actually started cosplaying as Blood Marco for Anime Expo 2017, and like you, I was also pretty surprised about the turnout. I mean, in my case, like it wasn't that I was just expecting like anime cosplayers. I figured it was just I wasn't expecting stars specifically because I thought, oh, people are gonna cosplay as like the more famous Disney franchises. But no, I was surprised by like how many people were like, oh, it's Marco and things like that. So yeah, it's all really surprising. The Star community definitely has its share of people that you like to dress up as the characters.
Yeah, and it's a really nice thing because and in a way it's kind of like how you have a niche property that people might be interested in like dressing up as, but a lot of people don't know about, or if they do know about it, not everybody dresses up in it. So it's really nice to kind of do something that's just different than everybody else. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't like anything else out there, but it's one of those things that I'm happy that I got to try that's different.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that you get the opportunity to introduce people to like all the different kinds of franchises. Like I remember I once cosplayed as like a mixture of Cape Marco and do you remember La Resistance Marco with the hat? The name escapes me, but from Battle from Uni.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember that
and
one.
yeah, I cosplayed as that version of Marco for this one Halloween, and one of my college professors, asked me, nicely, like, oh, who are you cosplaying as? Oh, I'm Marco from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So, yeah, I would say that's one of the cool sides of doing something that's a bit unexpected.
Yeah, and it's not always limited to going to the convention or just at home. You could always go out if you feel like, interacting with the public that way. You could always do it. I mean, there's a lot of different communities that do that on the daily as it is. So I mean, how much different would that be? I mean, it's just the willingness to be suited up or anything the whole entire day. That's all it really is.
I see. Yeah, I just noticed somebody is in our chat named Michael Taylor. Hello. Yeah, it's crazy that it's been 6 years. I mean, I'm still blown away that it's like been 6 years since Star versus the Forces of Evil like came out on Disney Channel, and also this episode. Well, today specifically, it's celebrating its sixth anniversary. How did you get into Star?
Specifically, a friend had told me about it, and initially I wasn't even aware because since I don't really have cable at all, like available the whole entirety of my life. So it's just been kind of on and off. So Disney has not necessarily been the channel that I tune into or any of the other ones, but I've seen shows growing up. So they told me, "Oh, hey, you should totally watch this. I think you'd like it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I looked for the episodes. I start watching, and I'm like, "This is actually pretty good." And I got invested to the point where I had managed to catch up to season 4 when everybody else had already been, waiting for those episodes to come out. So I literally binged all the way till season 4.
Oh, that's cool. By the way, Caitlin is in the chat. She says hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So, yeah, in my case, yeah, I also don't really have cable at my house. I grew up as one of those kids that watched like mostly like the PBS kids shows on TVs. The only time I got like to see cable shows like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network would be if my parents or relatives were like, "Oh, we found this VHS tape of like Rugrats or Cat Dog or Powerpuff Girls and that kind of thing. My dad was like, really into Powerpuff Girls, and so I honestly didn't hear about Star for like the first year it was released. I remember my friends were like, I think they mentioned it on Facebook once, and I was like, what is that? And then one day I go over to one of my buddies' houses, and he's like, let's show Bobby Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And I watched the first episode, and I was like jumping around saying, where has this show been all my life? So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. In your case, would you say that, like, Star has, like, is the show that has helped you get into, like, the sort of internet, like, cartoon and animation community or cosplaying community?
It is definitely up there with my influences of stuff that's gotten me invested in and you can
Yeah.
enjoy whatever you want at any age, and there's nothing anybody could tell you otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched that show, it showed me from a different perspective of what I was like. I was just watching my normal cartoons or whatever. They had their own plot, purpose, and everything. And Star Versus was kind of one of these things where it was like they were minus
Yeah.
the magic and monsters and so forth. But it hit close to home in that sense where you could relate to the characters because of how they I used to. So it was really something different in that sense.
Yeah, I would definitely say so, especially I think that's why I related to Marco so much personally, because I'm that kind of person that's very insecure and often has to be like extremely motivated to do something really daring, and I often feel like I'm sometimes the one that has to like tell my friends, hey, this, might be kind of risky and things like that. So, yeah, I definitely see your point there.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Marco is such a relatable character because in reality, it's the safe kid route is practically the one that we're usually going on, and that's why with me, also Marco, I relate to the safe kid notion that he does too. Like I try to be a bit precautious. I'm willing to try stuff once I feel like I can get in the zone with something, but definitely, just kind of baby step my way there, not necessarily just jump to the conclusion doing something just like that. But yeah, it's opened me up to thinking and being a little bit more open of what I'm able to do. But yeah, the Marco thing is very relatable, especially like on the first episode where he's like, "I'm not a safe kid. I'm a bad boy," and then he's making Star avoid all these little things on the way there.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
like the
all automatically
locker.
programmed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, definitely that's what makes him relatable to I guess we can get into why we're dressed up as Blood Moon Marco
Yeah.
specifically, which are the two Blood Moon episodes, both Blood Moon Ball. I also figured we'd talk about Curse of the Blood Moon because I kind of sort of treat that episode as a sort of sequel or sort of follow up, at least in terms of like concluding the Blood Moon Curse. So, what was it
Yeah.
like the first time you saw? Let's start with Blood Moon Ball. Like when you first saw that episode.
So we finally get to meet Tom for the first time. And, I wasn't even aware about the, you know, ex-boyfriend at that time, but just the way he enters, how everybody's in awe about his presence and everything, and Star just like, nope. So already it's already off to a bad start because like, no, 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 we're good, we're good. So for me, it was funny because they introduced a new character. This character is supposed to be, for all intents and purposes, somebody who wasn't compatible with Star because of some drama that happened. Which, if you got that book, the guide, I think it was either the Guide to the Multiverse. I don't think it was in the Book of Spells. Um, in that book, it will tell you a little snippet of ever learn about him and find out that they were a thing together, and that he's trying to see if maybe he changed enough for her to want to go back. And it slowly progresses to Marco's like, don't go.
Right.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him. My safe kid senses are tingling. I don't think you should go to this thing. So it's just overwhelming concern. At that point, we don't know if it's just concern as a friend or if it's more than that, but there was no indication that it was anything beyond friend until, probably the blood moon ending.
The end of the episode?
Yeah, because that's when the curse started taking effect. Although, you know, off of those, you know, the blood moon is where it starts to open their feelings up because the blood moon practically it's just like a way for them to get opened with. So
So
that's in that book, I believe, is the one where
was that the one where antics? It's the thing where it's like Star, please, don't go to this thing. Who knows what Tom is gonna do and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of feel like it could be. What makes it debatable to me is when I think here, but I think the one thing that is kind of generally agreeable is it's where it started to open up the sort of possibility of what are Marco's true feelings for Star. I mean, I still remember the third time I saw the episode, seeing that shot at the end where the blood moon is pointing down at Star's tower as she's hanging out with Marco. I was like, maybe this could be a thing. I mean, I don't know. Like, did you like think that they were possibly gonna have deeper feelings starting with Blood Moon Ball, or did you personally think, or did you start thinking that in like a prior episode, or even from like the very start of the show?
uh, watching the whole entire show, I guess the first time when I watched it, I was like, this is an interesting turn of events, but I didn't think too much of it because it was like just that ending that kind of threw me off
Mm-hmm.
because it's supposed to be a curse, but like for some reason, they were like saying the same things with each other, and basically they were relating a lot. But it was through the rest of the whole series that it started to show that they were really getting along very well. But not
Yeah,
once did it almost seem like they cared as much. I think until that one episode, uh, when they were gonna go to the prom,
yeah,
that's when it started to become painfully obvious. Star
yeah,
was definitely feeling something. Marco was really focused on trying to get Jackie at that time, and he wasn't even aware that Star felt any. It's not, even Star didn't feel like she didn't even know she was feeling what she was feeling. This is like the first for her. Like
yeah,
the only other time that she was feeling anything for a guy was when she went through puberty,
yeah.
but that was every
Oh
point.
my God, the Muberty episode.
Yeah, that was like every guy that was in her way was an interest to her. But prior to that, like they just got along really well. So for me, it wasn't so obvious. For as many others, it was, and it
Mm-hmm.
was until like the episodes started going down and you started watching the rest of it, you started to understand Star has feelings. She has feelings that she wasn't aware of. It could be the curse, or it could be that the curse was kind of like a honesty spell in a sense,
Yeah,
making her confess to what she really does feel for Marco. Since she was having more fun with Marco, she was doing a bunch of stuff with Marco. Marco
yeah,
was down to help her despite, you know, being scared of what the outcome could have. Like he was always concerned for her safety and everything. And even though he was scared, he would always jump in there with her despite everything.
yeah,
And whereas Tom wasn't doing necessarily any of that at the beginning, or at the time that he knew Star. So she started to really get into Marco more than she really realized. But I
yeah.
don't know if it's the spell itself was making her honest
Mm-hmm.
and Marco honest, or if it was the curse really had more than that intended effect.
Yeah, so I think because like I think about like the episodes leading up to Blood Moon Ball, it might have been the case like I think what was there was that they had like a genuine friendship and maybe it was just that both of them weren't ready to really admit their feelings cuz yeah, looking back it does make things kind of weird. The way I basically took it is basically I think they've always had feelings. The problem is that the curse made it like it made it like almost like mandatory like force where it's like you're going to like end up together rather than just naturally letting their feelings develop. you know?
Yeah, and that's I think that's a lot of controversy right there with a lot of people do always look at that part and they're like, well, it can't be a ship if it's forced by a curse. And
Hmm.
it's true, it can't really be a ship because of that, but if you take everything they've done up to that point,
Yeah.
curse or not, they were genuinely already heading towards that direction. It's just
Yeah.
that the curse kind of it had this thing where it's like you guys can't really stay away from each other
Hmm.
because you guys are always going to be around each other. But in reality, they were already doing that regardless when Star first came to Earth. So at the end of the day, it was the curse was nothing more than like a little obstacle they had to tackle at some point.
Yeah. It's basically like the way I see it, it's basically like the glue they didn't need, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because naturally it was all gonna happen. But
Hmm.
it wasn't a necessary glue that ended up just kind of making them a little bit more honest about what they were saying. It was almost like the little the naysayer
Yeah,
that Marco
Naysaya.
had, which yeah. So it's kind of like in that way where it's like Marco had to be honest or it wouldn't go away. So in the same sense, that's what the Blood Moon feels like when it comes to them too, because before they didn't even look at each other that way, and after the curse, they started to see each other a little bit more closer, but not necessarily like not until like the end when they were able to for sure know, okay, I think I actually do have feelings for you. I just didn't know if admitting them was wrong.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah, so now that we talked a bit about the Blood Moon Ball episode, were you surprised? Did you see the trailer for season 4 back when it was released?
No, because like when I came in, I was just basically just binging everything. So I wasn't like the only trailers I ended up seeing was just like because I guess where I started watching season four was because I ended up joining Amino,
Mm-hmm.
and in that community they had a chat where a person would as soon as the episode was like released, like an hour later, they would have the video file and then they would stream it for all of us to watch at the same time.
Oh, I see.
And so that's how we would catch up on the episodes each week.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really much see the trailer so much as like I once the episode was caught up, then we're all speculating what's gonna happen next, and then the next episode comes out, and we're all watching it together on like Sunday evening, some time frame like that. So it was that's how I ended up catching up because I didn't have like Disney Channel at the time, so I couldn't really watch season four because I think
Mm-hmm.
they had switched from XD to Disney Channel. I had XD, I didn't have Disney Channel.
I see. Yeah, I asked that because I remember the build up for Curse the Blood Moon was I remember doing a trailer reaction for the fourth season, and for a little second they showed a scene of Star and Marco dancing, and I actually yelped. I was like, "What?" Like they're going back to the Blood Moon Ball. So I was like, "Did you have some kind of expectation that maybe that they were going to go back to, if anything, to like try to like get this curse off them or confront their feelings?"
Well, the thing is, when the episode was named Curse of the Blood Moon, I was like, what are they gonna do with this? Like, what are they gonna do with this episode? Because I am completely in the dark about what's gonna happen. And they start out the episode, having an innocent little secret serial little meeting because I think Star was babysitting at the time, so they wait for the clock to go off, they pour the cereal, and they start eating together. And then that's when the marshmallow scene happens. Now, Star's just not even thinking about it. Her mind is elsewhere. But
Mm-hmm.
Marco's now starting to realize, like, I can't get over her no matter what, no matter
Mm-hmm.
how much I look. Like, just looking at these two marshmallows together, I can't really get over her. So that's when you're just like, oh, poor Marco. I think that was his biggest struggle. Like, watching him basically kind of in a sense blowing off Star for Jackie, but then in the reality, Jackie kind of caught on the fact that he wasn't even interested in her anymore like he used to be. Like, yes, he was interested, but this was before Star came into his life and actually was more active. Like Jackie literally came in at the end. So the time that they actually were able to spend was not even remotely close to compared to Star and him. So like once he got to that portion of the Curse of the Blood Moon episode, he's just looking at this and like everything he went up to that point just kind of really started to overwhelm him. He the feelings he had were starting to get too much to the
Hmm.
point that he even seeks out Eclipsa. Eclipsa tries to like console him, like there's nothing that I can do with magic, but you shouldn't be in a rush to run away from what you're feeling because, there's probably more to it, even if it hurts. And then Jana tries to help, but 14 hours of her time were wasted trying to hypnotize him.
Chicken butt.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that didn't work either, unfortunately, after that. And he just came to the conclusion it's like, I have to tell her.
Hmm.
I have to get this off my chest because something is up. I don't know what it is, but I need to talk to her. He does, and they both start getting in sync again when they start talking to Tom about the whole marshmallow incident, and that's when like Tom reveals the whole big thing, and then that's when Star gets upset, like, you cursed us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah, it's
thing. I
like,
mean, yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
and
the thing that
and
I
that's
picked up
and
on.
that's where it gets kind of like interesting.
Chris, are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying that both um Blood Moon Ball and Curse the Blood Moon last night just to kind of refresh my memory, and I honestly forgot about that scene where Tom says, "Oh, the Blood Moon Ball, it's actually the Blood Moon Curse." And yeah.
Yeah, and it's a trip because again, Star has just practically not even thought about it anymore,
Mhm.
and even thinking that the light was just a decoration, a party light, when in
Yeah.
reality it was a curse. So all of that was just throwing everybody off. She's just like, get this curse out of here. I want to go back to my life, back to normal. Marco agrees because he doesn't want to feel what he's feeling anymore. He's not going to do anything about it. So they both agree to high five each other and say, let's go destroy our feelings.
And every shipper was like, "No."
Yeah, probably like everybody's like, oh, now we can do the whole Tom Star thing finally because I think I think every ship that happened during that whole series was valid to some extent. It just at the end, the way it was gonna go was just that Tom Tom was still like he changed. He actually had good character development, so it was very much possible for him to end up with Star as well. But at the same time, like Star just couldn't. It was like she was lying to herself at the end. Even after the curse got removed, it's like she was lying to herself about being with him for those reasons. She was probably just trying to get with him to forget Marco, and at the end, she really ended up just falling for Marco, not so much Tom, like she initially thought she was going to.
Yeah. Um
And I and after they found out about the curse, that is like that's when everything went downhill. Before the curse, she probably would have been with Tom the whole time.
mhm. Oh, yeah, good point. I noticed my friend Gabby is there low. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think of what I was gonna say because I think that's a big part of why both Marco and Star were like, let's go destroy our feelings, and then why Star like got back with Tom because I think it was that neither of them were really ready to openly admit to each other that I have feelings for you and things like that. And I think that's actually something some might say, oh, they dragged out the ship way too long. But I honestly give this show a lot of credit for like playing a relationship out like that instead of just having two characters like falling in love or even having like disagreements. It really they really waited until like down to a point where it seemed apparent that they could look at like Star Marco could even look at each other and like they're aware of their romantic feelings, but actually getting to that point where they love to each other was that in itself was like a huge giant step. So I don't know. So me personally, I was fine with like the way things played out, and I think it's part of why, even when it looked like the curse was going to be destroyed, when they were dancing, in that scene where they're back at the Blood Moon Ball, Star was like, I don't want to be like bound to some creepy curse, but I like this, and Marco admits it as well. So it just kind of like it gets to like all these like emotions and complications.
And it really sucked because I think that was the scene that hurt a lot of people because in order for them to like move on from this thing, they had to cut everything from the day they went to the dance all the way to that point.
Yeah,
So it's almost like they never actually did anything, but somehow they naturally still managed to make memories even after the fact.
yeah,
But it did hurt because it almost felt like, oh, so basically episode here to episode here now doesn't mean anything because it never happened in their minds. They never had those memories together. But they
mm-hmm.
did spend the time. They literally spent all the time in the world together at that point. And I think that's what hurt the most because in order for them to break the curse, they had to give up those memories. And that
Yeah,
it really, and I think that's what really hurt a lot of people.
mm-hmm.
I think in general, it's a big decision to make where you have to sacrifice something like that in
Mm-hmm.
order to free yourself from something that's binding you.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember watching that. I mean, I think I had this like feeling that they were going to break the curse and it could jeopardize the relationship. I was in that boat of like hoping against hope, and of course it turns out that no, it's not. They really did like each other. It's not just the curse. But yeah, I also had. I think I just went in that to the episode with that sort of aggressive kind of acceptance where it's like come on, show me the scene where the curse is broken and things like that. But yeah, it definitely is like it kind of leaves on a kind of note of does that mean they've got no more romantic relationship? I mean, as far as sacrificing the memory, which yeah, it also like I mean it's sad because it was such a cute dance. I guess one could make a very like slim argument that Relicor's said that the memory that would have to be removed is the moment they first fell in love. When I first saw the episode, I was like, oh, so okay, so the memory they would just have to lose is maybe the first time Marco fell in love with Star at the beginning. But then when I rewatched the episode, Star was like, so does this mean we have to get rid of the memory of the Blood Moon Ball? So I'm like, oh shoot. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's when it's just like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So if particularly you're just like, wow, this kind of sucks because that means everything they worked for at that point, as friends, now just genuinely means nothing.
Yeah. So, um, my friend, what did she say here? I think the whole breaking of the curse really helped driving the point that it was more than just some fate slash magic that attracted them to each other. So, so the good thing about that is, it showed rest of the series now that they're free from the curse and they're technically allowed to be. Even though even then they still ended up together. It's just as we were saying earlier, the difference is that the curse no longer sort of like forcefully like kept them together. Now they could just let their feelings be. So so there's that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like that's kind of how all the things like ended up like concluding at the end of the whole series is that despite the curse of the blood moon, it didn't necessarily dictate how they felt as as a couple together. They
Yeah,
legitimately ended up together because it wasn't a forced little thing. It was legitimately them wanting it.
yeah, yeah. I would say so too. So I think, yeah, I guess for me, it's just when I look back on it last, with like Star Marco, it's like yeah, they do a more extended dance, but that scene where the curse gets broken. So I think for me, it's just kind of fun to like go back and like in a very odd sort of way where it's like oh, that feeling of is it going to destroy the relationship or things like that. So yeah, but it is good that they had a genuine relationship. It wasn't just it wasn't because of the curse. Although, come to think of it, I think the one thing that is definitely erased from their memories is that extended dance scene when they were at the Severing Stone. What makes it kind of, I guess, murky slash a bit debatable to me as far as how much can they remember is that in the episode Here to Help, where Marco and Star, finally admit their feelings, Marco is like, that Blood Moon curse, it's baloney. So, like, he mentions the curse. So it's like, maybe he remembers something.
Because I do remember. Well, the thing is, he was at the dance floor when all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy was announcing, whatever was going on with the dance, while Star just completely ignored the whole thing. He
Yeah.
was paying attention. So there's a good chance he remembers from that. It could also mean that, they know of the curse, but they just don't have the memories of the curse. So basically, they know the information of stuff that went down, but if somebody described it to them, that's only the way they would even know something happened. But the memories of what happened from point A to point B, that's what they can't remember. They don't have anything of that. So anything, relating to their emotions because of the curse are just gone. But they can still know about what happened. So maybe Tom mentioned, "Oh yeah, you broke the curse, so now you guys don't feel for each other anymore." They will know that there was a curse, they just won't know why the curse affected them.
Yeah. Which in some ways, I mean, yeah, it's good that they're not bound by a curse, but part of me is like, oh, but that means that like that it costed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want them to be cursed, but it's just the thing where it's like oh, but that was such a cute dance scene.
Yeah, see, that would have been nice for them to just kind of like keep in the memory, like at least that.
Yeah.
And even more so, like, it would have been nice for them to have that kind of dance later on in maybe season 4 sometime, but like, there was so much stuff going on in season 4 where they didn't even have time to catch their own breath.
Yeah. Oh no, especially toward the end. No.
Yeah, no, they didn't have it was just like, I think part of, like, even the beginning of season 3 was just, insane how all those episodes went down. And then even at the end of season 3 it was pretty good. So, but season 4 did have a lot of action towards the end because there was just so much stuff piling on the main characters,
Yeah.
and they had to like pick and choose what they had to do, what they had to sacrifice, how they were going to go about everything, because it was just a lot.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that's why when I checked out Cleve, I remember some people were like, how come they didn't do a final kiss? And I remember just thinking, well, maybe they're like leaving things open to interpretation. Do they kiss? Do they get ice cream? Do they go dancing later? So I'd like to think, I mean, who knows? Maybe because I don't know. I like to think that like at some point, they maybe even like try to do the dance where it's like, hey, we at least we won't get cursed this time. So I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like yeah. Go ahead.
well, yeah, no, you're right. And Darren even confirmed that that was why she left it the way she did. I mean,
Hmm.
personally, I think that it would have been nice to have like some kind of little conclusion to go about that episode, because there was it was open ended, and it looked like it could have continued, but I guess, I don't know, maybe Disney had their own plans about how they were going to go about this show, because I keep seeing merchandise being sold in other like countries and stuff like that, and they're still finishing dubs in other countries, but like we're still like almost lacking in that. So it's almost like they're letting the other than the fandom keeping it alive, they're letting it kind of just die out. And I don't know if you've seen some of those like trailers they'll put in, like the commercials, where they'll just mix in a bunch of Disney characters. They even put Marco and Star doing the whole like Lady and the Tramp scene with if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
it's like you guys remember, but why aren't you doing anything with this?
Yeah, so yeah, I remember seeing that. It was like a commercial out of Taiwan where like Star and Marco were eating like spaghetti together. So it's just like insane. And now there's like word that like, the Owl House might be next. The keyword is might, so it's just yeah, it's just yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing that like bothers me with like Disney's like how they run their shows, where it's like it's technically like my favorite place to watch shows because I really enjoy Star and Owl House, but the shows are often really short, like 2, 3, maybe 4 seasons if the show is really lucky, which Star did get to 4. It's just that is there like a Disney Channel that ever got to 5? I noticed even the popular shows only get to 4 at the max.
So I was doing research on that, and it
Hmm.
turns out that they only started doing 4 seasons starting with Kim Possible because for some, Kim Possible got just enough of a hype to where they're like, you know what? It concluded at 3, left it open or whatever, and we're just gonna continue with 4 because with fourth season because apparently the fans demanded all that. And at the end, that's why they got 4 seasons. So now every animated thing has a potential to up to 4, which Star got to 4.
Yeah.
Um, Sadly, it looked like it could have gone to at least 5, seeing how much stuff was going on. But they had to keep it under 4. Owl House, I think, they're doing 3, I think, seasons. I'm not particularly
As of
sure.
now it's 3, and even then the third season is like 3 44-minute specials. So it's barely a season to be honest.
Yeah, it's probably just I guess in a way it's kind of like Gravity Falls, and it's short but sweet. It works.
Mhm.
So Owl House kind of follows that, but at the same time, I feel like Owl House can go as far as Star in terms of like content. Like it really has that much open potential to do that much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
And some
definitely
shows ending soon. Yeah, it's always sad to see a show end when it feels like it could have gotten a little further.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, not that I want to turn this into like a huge like Owl House rant because like I've done one with rant, but like I've done like videos like by myself and my friend, but yeah, I definitely like get that feeling because I sense there's a lot of potential with Owl House, especially with like you watch the show, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, with things like Ida's curse, what is Emperor Bellus's really big plan? Does King have family left and stuff like that? Like I could see that being like extended as long as Star. And um last thing I will say about Owl House is I was watching creator Dana Terrace do a stream with the two of the voice actors, Luce's voice actor and Lilith's, and in the stream Dana was like uh channel shows if they don't get to 50 they can't get merch, and that's why Star I would say that's why Star was able to get some merch with like books and Funko Pops because it crossed that threshold. So I don't know. I don't want to like. I'm not going to turn this into like an Owl House video, but it's
Yeah.
my kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, Disney's weird with how they want to handle stuff. Because honestly, I feel like they should let the people who create the show have some more freedom with how they go about it instead of being like compressed to a certain time frame. A lot of Disney Plus, I think, has been working out pretty well for them,
Oh
especially
yeah,
right
it's
now that
really successful for Disney. Yes.
yeah, especially now that everybody's been kind of stuck inside and streaming is their only option. It's really been really nice to have those options of being able to watch what you want without having to wait, on a specific day and then trying to like wait the next week because the suspense always kills you. No matter what, the suspense will always kill you.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's also kind of sucks because you have to wait, oh, what, a week. And sometimes if there's a delay because of something else, you'll wait 2 weeks. Whereas if they give you the whole season all at once, you're like, okay, I know what I'm watching the whole day today, and you just go through the whole thing. And then it's just like I said. I feel like when it comes to Star, it probably should have been longer because I don't feel like they gave it enough time to put in what they really wanted to conclude it with. At the same time, it left things open to interpretation to where it could still become something else. But it all largely depends on Disney wanting anything to happen. And if Disney doesn't want it to happen, it's just up to the fans to, keep the dream alive in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, I pretty much agree. I noticed saw this interesting comment from somebody in the chat named Mad Mike Sports saying, "I'm thinking they're waiting until the right time to do something with Star," which I'm wondering, is it like a nostalgia thing, kind of like how I mean. I don't know if you follow the car industry, Chris. It kind of reminds me of how there are certain like really classic vehicles like the Volkswagen Beetle or the Ford Bronco, and they either go away or become irrelevant for like a couple decades or so, and then they come back when they become like nostalgic and like people are like, oh my god, I remember that. So I'm wondering. So do you think maybe Disney is just waiting for that, like for that kind of
They
nostalgia?
they honestly could be. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that. Like I said, right now, currently, I've been finding out that a lot of locations around the world, the dubs are barely finishing for those countries where we had finished like ages ago.
Yeah.
And even now, more recently, Russia has been like pumping out merchandise like crazy. And then here we're just like, oh, we did get a couple of things, but we didn't get as nearly as many as they did, at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, you know, Disney doesn't understand that the fandom is not, this fandom is not dead. And if they move on to other properties is one thing, but if you would release, you know, the merch, they are willing to buy it. It's not like anything they already invested in, they haven't already put enough money into it. You can go far back even before the new reboots or remakes of any show that comes out recently, and you'll still have a fan base from back then.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's
if.
kind of like,
Oh, what were you going to say?
hell, even I don't know how much would they really have to invest in even putting a mobile game first, to see if they even have interest, and then maybe gauge it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's just a thing where it's like because Disney is such a big company that has like, I think of like all the properties they own like focus more so on that or things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying in like lots of videos, the kind of future I could see Star having would maybe be something like a movie on universe,
Right.
and I like them. Yeah, I like the movies, so
Yeah.
yeah, I could see them doing something like that, especially since Nickelodeon also kind of did something like that with like Invader Zim, Hey Arnold, and Rocco's Modern Life, where all three of
Oh,
those shows got
yes.
like movies. So yeah, I mean, do you think that maybe its future could
Oh,
be?
a good idea now that I think about it, because look at Invader Zim. That came out of nowhere, and that was just wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, a movie would actually be nice because maybe they can introduce a new villain. Maybe Mina might come back and get her so-called revenge. Find out what enemy, and it's just their daily life concluding at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, maybe something like a new villain, or gosh, what if like the Magic High Commission comes back and they call?
Yeah, I'm all aside from I don't think Lekmit really was much of an enemy, and neither was Hekapu. I think she was against all of that stuff from a long time ago.
Yeah.
But especially if we read the book does show that she just wasn't for that, but she just because she's part of the council, she had no choice. That was just her duty.
Hmm.
So like that's probably why she wasn't so reluctant to end magic when Star's like, "Oh, hey, I want to end the magic. Can you help me?" "Yeah, sure. Go. Go do your thing."
I see.
But yeah, like a final enemy would be pretty cool. Or they could revive one of the last enemies and see, how like even Toffee coming back would be crazy because at that point he's dead. That was confirmed by Darren. But again, it's a world of magic, and their their like last embrace at the end is what combined both of the worlds together. That desire to be with each other combined both of the worlds, made it earthly. So it's a possibility the magic is never really gone. It's just at the moment it's in its recovery stages. Who knows? Maybe Glossrick never really disappeared. So there's no way to really know what's going on because something created Glossricks, and we don't even know what happened to Father Time either at that point. So who's to say that nothing can continue off of what was going on right there?
Yeah, definitely not. Especially yeah, because I remember didn't one of the books say something about Glossrick has like died like before? I mean, there was that part in the show where I think it was Battle for Muni where he got axed off, but he came back when like Star was having like visions of Glossrick. Like you remember that really creepy episode where she couldn't stop seeing
Yeah,
him? Yeah.
yeah. She was just tripping completely out, and she's like, "No, I thought you were dead," and like all he was saying from that point on was "Globgore, Globgore."
Yeah.
It,
did you guess that Globgor was the name of Eclipse's husband?
honestly, I had no clue. I didn't know what was the deal with him saying that so often and so like specifically. And it's until the very end, like I was talking about the guy's name. It's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Mm,
None of us knew. But it's interesting because like there was this buildup of Eclipsa being evil when she never really was, and then Globor being also evil when he really wasn't. He every in the books I think describe this very clearly that he was always a nice guy. He was trying to make everything work out, and they just pushed his buttons, and he had to do what he had to do to like free Eclipse. But thanks to that, she got punished for it anyways, and so did he.
yeah. Um. Huh. Oh, another comment for doing something more with Star. Ooh, that's still a while away, but it makes sense because that would be the 10th anniversary. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, yeah, that could be a possibility. I mean, look at these other franchises. There's video games, there's animations. They'll always celebrate something at like the 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. So they're always celebrating, but they're always celebrating them at the 5 year milestone for all of them. So it's always possible for Star to get celebrated, on the 10th year with something. And of course, like we pretty much concluded at this point that regardless of the fact, at least the fandom itself keeps it alive. There's a lot of different ideas. I didn't even think it was possible to like think
Yeah.
a plot out for that many kids just being involved in trying to stop something, and I'm just like, okay, this could work as an actual story. I don't see why it couldn't. If anything, that'd be a very interesting arc in itself. So people in the fandom keep stuff like that alive, and I totally like that a lot, just because that means the ideas will never really end.
Yeah, no.
And it's Disney's loss. That's on them. I mean, they could that movie or and maybe just give us a hint that maybe they are interested in making something like that. Because Darren is down. She said that she was down.
Yeah,
She's
definitely.
always said it. To jump in on it or not.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, yeah. I even remember at a place I used to work at, I had a coworker who kind of like, have you seen Mooring Marks comics on like Instagram
Yes,
and Tumblr?
yes. Absolutely. I love the ideas he has taken the liberty of trying out. Those ideas would be actually great. They would actually be great. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see why it couldn't be implemented, even with the current storyline the way it is. What's to stop them from going into the future and maybe Meteora and just see what kind of shenanigans they can get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even I'm starting to think it's funny because I remember Adam MacArthur, the guy who plays Marco. Did you go to the Toyzilla event, the Toyzilla panel?
No, I think you covered it though, right?
Yeah, I was there,
If I
and
recall
he
correct.
suggested, Adam suggested, maybe someday there'll be another Marco Jr. running around. And he was getting at
Yeah.
Star Marco when they grow up. And like have children. So who knows? Because if they, I mean, we're just theorizing here. There's no final plans.
Yeah.
One thing that would work if they are waiting for 10 years is that it would be like if they decide to do like a sequel 10 years later and literally like it's like the characters grow up with like the time the show's been off the air. So maybe, yeah, it could be something cool where it's like, 10 years later now, they're all back. And maybe if they do go like the Teen Marpos and Meteor direction, and Star Marco are now adults, maybe there will be a Marco Jr. running around.
Yeah, bugging bugging his aunt to like take him everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that would be an interesting arc because at the end of the day, you still get to see what happened to them, but now they don't have to be the main focus anymore. It could just naturally like transition over to, the sister and her best friend, and what kind of stuff they can get into, or what life in Earthny has now become, if magic actually still exists, or is it some kind of like underground thing that they have to be concerned with?
Yeah. I'd even think it would be a cool twist if maybe like if they ever do a Mariposa Meteora show like a couple seasons in, they're like, what? There's a thing called magic? And talking to Star Marco and like, you didn't tell us like about this like crazy thing that used to be around?
Yeah, see, it's all good ideas. It's just, can Disney get on the ball on it?
hmm Well, as Mad Mike Sports says here, for now though, let's just think of Star as an old NHL team, the Winnipeg Jets. The team left Winnipeg in '96, but came back 15 years later thanks to the efforts of the fans. So who knows? Maybe. I mean, I like to think so because I think about like how like with do you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and how they had Korra, and now they're doing this whole like Avatar Studios thing for Paramount Plus. I mean, I don't think Disney will ever do like a Star versus Studios. I mean, it's a cool idea. I've done a stream like just talking about that, and I've seen loads of ideas for like. I was even like thinking, what if they want to go full on adult and have like this really like mature like war story starring what's her name? Is it Solaria, the scary mother of Eclipsa?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or something like that. So I don't
I
know.
mean,
Yeah, just
and they do also have the potential because remember there were queens prior to the new book's conception. Because before that book,
yeah.
the book had actually got burnt. So
hmm
everybody from the first queen to the queen that shows up first in the book, there's a lot of missing information there that they can cover with animation. They can also cover the queens in general so that you can see how all of that stuff led up to it. Like, because the book gives information, but it would be nice to see it in action, to how all those like situations led up to how each queen got their power and what their responsibilities were at the time and how they, pass their time. It would be nice to cover those. It'd be like little shorts, even little shorts could work.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like what Owl House creator Dana Terrace said about maybe shorts could happen down the road, and like I could definitely see something like that happen with Star, even if it is just like even discussing like some of the queens that didn't get as much time in the spotlight on the show. Like I think of Justin, for example, or I'm trying to remember like there was like I think there was, what's the name of the queen who was like a super into art and didn't really like writing? Like, what's her
I I
face?
I remember who you're talking about, but the name's like passing me.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
I know who you're
So,
talking about.
yeah,
So yeah, there's those characters that could get some screen time that would really benefit from getting screen time.
yeah. Or even something, even though this is going to be a really sad idea, something like what if Comet got a short? But I think a lot of people would just think, oh, but I don't want to see Comet die.
Nobody does. But
No.
but unfortunately it's how the character development happened for Moon in the first place. It's why Moon is how she is, why she even got to that part in season 4 where she seemed like a villain when in reality she was just trying to do her what she thought was the best course of action, which clearly wasn't the best course of action.
No, 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 no.
It was not. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't trust a nut job to not be a nut job. And
Yeah.
she wasn't even crazy until the Solarium powers infected her, because that's how apparently she lost her mind. Before she was still sane, and when she became a warrior for Solaria, she kind of lost her marbles.
Oh, you're talking about Mina?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
yeah, that was the reason why she lost her mind. Because when the super soldier thing happens with the powers, they lose their sanity because their
Mm-hmm.
focus is on whatever they were thinking at the time. So that's what happened with Mina. She was so focused on hating the monsters, even after everything had concluded and stopped. She just wanted to keep it going because that's the last instruction that was in her brain.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
wasn't a part of her because when she was found as a peasant, and then she became, the super warrior.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, so I see what you mean. But yeah, so yeah, it would be nice if down the road that there was some kind of star continuation. I mean, I don't think yeah, I mean, the good news is like the fandom isn't going away anytime soon since I look at a lot of other like Disney shows that, have come and went. Like I think of like Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, even that show American Dragon Jake Long. I know a cosplayer who's still a couple cosplayers who's still really into that show, and I think when I was like looking up as something I found out that like Disney Channel did like a compilation video for the show's 15th anniversary, even though it's been long off the air. So, but I just hope that it's more than just a 15-year anniversary video on YouTube. I would like to see like something like a sequel series or movie down the road.
Yeah, it would be perfect. Honestly, I really feel like some kind of tribute to the show, like not just a little trailer, but literally like, hey, let's bring back the cast and have them talk about the show. Let's actually have them, do some like what's it called? I forgot the word escapes me, but
Panel?
well, the panel, but like it's when you do things on the fly. Uh,
It's like a
I
table
forgot the word.
reading or improvisation.
Improv. There we go. Sorry, I don't know why the word escaped me, but yeah, like they could just do an improv and see what they could if they were to do a specific scene of what would happen after season 4, maybe something that was maybe never covered in between those episodes, maybe something like that even. Why not? I mean,
Yeah,
if especially now that they don't really have to fight for TV time, they could put it on Disney Plus, and honestly, people would watch it. They would watch it.
yeah.
It would
I
be something
mean,
worth watching.
yeah. I mean, I even think about how you know how this weekend there's going to be an amphibia and Comic Con, amphibia and Owl House Comic Con at Home panel,
Yeah,
and they're gonna have like a table read. I'm guessing from the wording of the way Disney described it, where it's gonna be like a table read that involves both the Amphibia cast and Owl House cast. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be cool if one of these days it was like the Owl House cast and Star cast like teamed together? Like if they try to make it sound like Star came to the Boiling Isles. It's like, who is this?
for crossover, and especially because a lot of the running themes always have magic involved. So Star versus Magic, Amphibia Magic, the Owl House Magic. So it's a potential that they could all cross over at any point, just for like even a brief moment, even for one single episode. Why not? Why couldn't they? What would stop them from really environments? Star is not phased by anything that happens. So going to the Boiling Isles wouldn't phase her one bit because, as far as she's concerned, monsters aren't just normal to her about the environment, but he'd get used to it because he's so used to the monsters and where he was always fighting them all the time. So that wouldn't be an issue there. Even in Amphibia, just being in a world just full of frogs and toads and everything, it wouldn't need. What's to stop them from doing any other crossovers, really?
Yeah. I mean, I think somebody on Twitter told me there's some kind of legal something that would stop this. I'm not really sure. I would imagine somebody who's work at Disney could probably explain, but yeah, those kind of crossovers would be cool. um, there's a commenter named Yuzu who is like, if Star visited Amphibia, her first spot would be Buff Frog. So it's like what she thinks that like Sprig is related, Sprig or Hop Pop are related to Buff Frog.
You're not wrong because honestly, she would be surrounded like, wait, maybe this is where Bullfrog really came from. Maybe he was just trapped here from this multiverse and I just never realized. I mean, he did disappear for that one moment where all the monsters started to leave. So, I mean, who's to say that wasn't his location of origin? It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be even cool if they had like the closest to a crossover they've had is they'll sometimes put like little like visual references like I remember in the Owl House episode, Escaping Expulsion, when one of Willow's parents like picks up this book. Sorry, I hit the microphone. This book, and it has like the picture of Hop Bop, and me and my friend were just like, "Oh my god, it's the grandpa from Amphibia." So I'm just like something like that would be cool. I think they did something like for Big City Greens, but as far as I know, nothing like that for Amphibia and Owl House so far. I mean, even that would be like something that's really cool to me because it's like it would be part of like an on one of the ongoing Disney shows, not just like oh put up some compilation for an anniversary, you know?
Yeah, and because like a lot of times, a lot of the creators they'll know that they'll make a reference to another like franchise. And once you catch it, you're like, wow, I didn't really think that was like a thing. Like I didn't think that they would sneak that little thing right in the corner of your eye. You would have never noticed it unless somebody either pointed it out or you pause and you're like, wait, this seems very familiar. What is this? Oh, that's what that is. It's a reference to this other show that I really like. So it's really cool. The little the cameos are really nice, but it also shows that they also still care about whatever the franchise is enough to like include it in their own thing.
Yeah. So,
Because everybody inspires each other in a way. So
hmm
like sometimes you'll like, oh, I'm inspired by so and so. Let me put a reference of their thing in my thing and you know see if anybody catches on.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool. I remember my friend was thinking that because Darren seems to know Gravity Falls creator Alex Hirsch. I remember seeing there's like this picture with like Darren, Alex, and Steven Universe creator Rebecca Sugar that she was hoping maybe because she knows Alex Hirsch. Maybe the Alex Hirsch could like convince like the Alex group. I think he's only doing voice acting, but like maybe he could convince somebody on working on the Alice. Hey, put a star reference. Which, I mean. I mean I think that would be a cool idea. It's just I'm not really sure if that could be pulled off if it is truly show if it's true that the show is getting like it's not gonna last as for a while. But yeah, those kind of references in like really any ongoing Disney show would be cool. I mean, I would like to see like a star reference in like that upcoming show, The Ghost and Molly McGee. You know?
Yeah. I don't remember, but I do remember seeing an ending in I don't know if it was Amphibia, but there was like a Blood Moon-esque ending credit scene when they're walking. So I'm not sure if that was just like one of those references that we were just trying to be on the lookout for. But like I don't remember where I saw it, but I do remember it was probably Amphibia. There was a little part where there was like a blood moon, and I'm like, are they trying to reference Star? It's just conveniently a blood moon.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember it was one of the first Amphibia episodes I was watching where there was like this, it was like this crescent shaped moon that was like pinkish. And my first thought was, as my headphones come off, my first thought was blood moon? Like, because I was just thinking, it like is,
Yeah, so it's really cool when they do that because
mhm.
it shows that they do appreciate each other's work. And the reference is just kind of like, oh, hey, this is a reference to this. So if you probably saw this, that's probably why you gravitated towards watching this because maybe you were interested in this thanks to the last thing.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, so it would be cool if there was that kind of reference. I'm kind of, yeah, I'm hoping that maybe somewhere down the road. I mean, it could come out of nowhere because like those Nickelodeon, movies we were talking about, like they seemed to came out of nowhere. Avatar Studios certainly came out of nowhere to me. I remember like there was built up for Paramount Plus, but I never could have guessed that they were working on like a whole like line of like Avatar projects, you know? So
Yeah.
maybe somewhere down the road. I think another obstacle would probably be, I mean, I don't know if I should call it an obstacle, but one of the things that's going on is that like Darren FC is working on something for Nickelodeon, but the question is what is it? Is it a new show or whatnot? So do you think in order for like a star, like in order for Darren to come back, she would have to complete whatever that project is.
I want to say yes and no because I think so this little thing on Netflix just got recently released called The We the People, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe one of the animations in there she was involved in.
Yeah.
So she participated in one of those things. So if it's a small enough project, I assume maybe she would have the time to be able to do it. But if the other project she's working on takes more priority, then it's probably going to have to be on the back burner until she's ready to do what she has to do. Because she always says she's down to continue something, anything, as long as Disney says, let's go. And Adam is also down to come back as Marco. He's expressed interest in the community, so he's always pretty happy to be a part of it. Uh, I guess Eden is probably up to it, but I mean, I haven't heard much about her except for recently announcing, she's going to be a mother soon. But that's about it. Like, and the rest of the cast, wherever they're at, who knows if they're interested in continuing, but I'm pretty sure they are, even if it's just for a singular movie. I think they
Yeah.
definitely would be up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about a whole season, but definitely a movie.
Yeah. Or yeah, because I guess that could be the thing about like a sequel series. Like if they were to make a Meteor or Mar post a show, then they wouldn't have to get everybody back because well, they would have to get some people. Like I imagine they would have to get like Adam and Eden to come back. But the nice thing about like a sequel series is that they could technically introduce like how like in like let's say Korra for instance there's like you know like as far as I've only seen a few episodes of the show but like much of the cast is like brand new characters like I think of like Mako, his brother, and and characters like Tenzin. So one like upside of going to sequel series is that they could like get new characters, and because if they're new characters there isn't really like a precedent. So I guess that's the nice thing if they were to do that kind of a sequel show is like yeah, bring back some so that fans of the original will come back, but it kind of has that compromise where it's like they don't need to get everybody to come back but just enough to like get fans to check it out.
Yeah, and at the end, they could always conclude it with that. Like they don't have to continue, they don't have to necessarily continue any more past that. But if they were to conclude it with that, that'd be perfect for everybody. Everybody would be okay with it, I imagine, because now it's a
Yeah.
whole different group. Now the focus is not on, you know, the original cast. It's some of the kids that were in that thing, and they're learning their own way of life and how they're going to handle everything. And at the end, you know, it's open to possibilities how to interpret everything. Because again, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Whether Disney willingly wants to allow it to happen is a whole different story. But in the case that they don't, we still got a bunch of people in the fandom who, just like every other thing that exists out there, video games, animations, comics, whatever you call it, everybody's in a particular fandom will make content for it.
Hmm.
And everybody will love it because it's something original, it's something interpreted from the eyes of somebody else. And at the end, you know if the fandom keeps it alive, then it'll stay alive. Nothing really ever dies.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, well, not that I could name specific examples because I'm sure, like, if I name like some, like Disney show that not as many people talk about, there's still gonna be a good amount of people that's like, hey, I remember that. So, but yeah, I think it just depends on, like, if there's still going to be a momentum for like a future Star series. I think as of right now, it could still like work. So yeah, so I just, I wish the best for the series. I really hope that there is going to be some kind of a sequel series, or maybe a show they did just do like a movie. Even that I'd be down for, because it's kind of like a nice compromise.
Yeah, of course. And I feel that's how it definitely could be. Just Disney, please.
Yeah, yeah, I don't
Uh,
know what else to say other than what Darren FC, like Darren always says, where it's like, you want more Star, you got to go bug like the Disney store, which right now it's kind of sketchy because the pandemic. But yeah, the answer is there. It's like, you want more of the show, you just, yeah, just have to support it and things like that. As an aside, I wanted to point out, like, in my case, because I know there's some people out there who, especially because I know I have like family members that like watch my show. They don't know why this channel is called Blood Moon Bobby. They actually find the name intimidating. Like, it's because of like the episodes that me and Chris we were talking about earlier, Blood Moon Ball, and just because we really like Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So for anybody out there who is like, why the Blood Moon name? It's because of a really, really cool dance episode from a particular Disney show. So I just thought I'd make that
yeah,
clarification. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Then that's what makes it really unique.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because like, yeah, so it's like, it's not anything like scary. Although Blood Moon Ball, like, come to think of it, does have like its creepy bits, but it's more of like an admiration thing. It's not like I'm trying to start like a cult to bring
Oh,
back
of
Star
course.
versus the Forces of Evil. Oh, so
Yeah, yeah. It's understood. It's understandable.
yeah. So yeah, some hopefully, yeah, there will be some kind of future down the road for Star vs. the Force of Evil. These kind of like things come back like seemingly out of nowhere, but it is good when it happens. So do you have much more to say, Chris, about the Blood Moon episodes, or what you would like to see from the future of Star?
As far as what I would like to see, it's more along the lines of maybe have a somewhat of a conclusion. Not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a complete conclusion, just something to make the majority kind of happy that the show has gone in some kind of direction, because the way they left it open ended to be continued.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it does kind of feel like maybe I was expecting the kiss a bit too much. Like, I literally was like, oh, they're gonna kiss, and then pans up. I was like, why would you do that? Why would why would you hype me with that whole running scene? Poor Marco. I've never seen the poor boy hurt as much as that last episode. I was just feeling for him because he literally tried to skate his way there and everything just to fall face flat. and not make it to the portal. That hurt. Like
Mm-hmm.
heart sank. So like once he got to that point where he got, next to Star, like, okay, now we finally see each other. How do we conclude this scene? And they just ended there, and I'm like, why? Why would you
Yeah, I
build?
mean, I
Why would
yeah.
you build it up like
Mm-hmm.
that and then just kind of stop it dead? But again, if a movie were to happen, even a short couple episodes, not even like how Owl House is going to possibly end season 3, that would be perfectly fine. I'd be okay with it. Just keep it short, keep it simple,
Mm-hmm.
leave the ending to interpretation, but just have that like closure between them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. There's certain things about like Cleaved. I mean, I'm not particularly fond of the episode, but one of the things that didn't sit well with me, I think there were some things that were a little too open ended. Like even just down to how are they gonna like see like Kelly if there's no more portals? So it's like I want to see like if that had like something like they figure that out. Do they get like Elon Musk to fire a rocket ship to Kelly's dimension? I mean, I'm just fooling, but it's like I would like to see things like that. Even like a friend, like I've had like a guest on the show who was like, "There's a spider just literally walks on top of that like person's house. Are they okay with it?" So it's just like there's definitely like room. I mean, I'm fine with some things being open to interpretation, but there's a few things where I'm like I want more, yeah, like you, I want more of like a concrete answer for certain things because I'm just not sure how, things could be pulled off.
Yeah, like first of all, how the heck is Ponyhead still flying? I thought there was no magic. How is Tom gonna get home if there's no magic? Unless demon magic is just completely different from regular magic.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, Hekapu was able to cancel out all sorts of travel through dimensions on her whim. So if there's no magic, um, you know, to stop them from that, how come demon magic is the only magic available? So like, there's no way to know where a lot of these open-ended things concluded. So yeah, a conclusion would be nice. I would love to see a conclusion. As things are now, I'm okay with. But yes, I would definitely like a more concrete answer. And if they do provide us one, I'd be very appreciative just to
Mm-hmm.
have it done there, just to have no more doubts like, oh, this is why she's alive. Oh, this is how they're going to visit their friends. Oh, they end up being adults and they actually end up having kids after all. Or maybe they leave that to interpretation, but you see them as adults already. At least they're already having their life together.
Yeah.
And then, the sister and Meteora are just like, doing their own thing, just or helping other children and stuff like that. So who knows? I mean, what happened to the Never Zone people who went to Never Zone? Did they ever come back?
Yeah.
So all of that stuff, it would be nice to just have a conclusion to it. But of course, as things stand, I'm okay with things as they stand. I would like some closure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, I still, really like Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I mean, I will acknowledge that, yeah, things get kind of messy at times. Like, I think of excuse me, like some of the ships that didn't go anywhere, like with Marco and Kelly, but there's still some really like truly amazing things about the show that I'd at least say it's at least worth one viewing. Like to kind of get off topic. I mean, I think of like the ending for like Battle for Muni or even the Song Day episode. That build up was incredible. Like where it's like Ruberia was singing the song and it's all good. It's like, and he flat out tells the king, "Them stars in love with her best friend, and his name is Marco T."
Oh
So
my
it's
god,
like,
he totally snitched on. I mean, it was painfully obvious to him, but it was like that wasn't part of the script. What are you doing?
yeah, it's like you're crossing in bridges you're not supposed to cross. Like it's just, yeah. I mean, I was yeah, just right there, Summer. I'd be just as embarrassed. I mean, it's incredibly embarrassing for Star because like she's never told like Marco like outright about her own feelings at that point. But,
And Marco's
yeah,
like,
but I
wait,
just
you
think
actually
back.
have feelings? You're like,
Yeah.
you have feelings for me? Uh, I need to go.
I just remember they were like staring at each other, and Star goes off on Cloudy. It's like I can't talk about this right now. So yeah, I mean, like, but yeah, basically what I'm saying is, yeah, there's been a lot of like great stuff to come out of Star, and I'm hoping for. I would like to see even like greater things come from, like, a sequel series, movie, or something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure if they included like a Starco wedding, like if Star and Marco grew up and they're now about to get married, they're gonna use that as like part of the advertising. Where it's like, don't miss it. It's like the wedding of the season. So it's like,
Oh yes.
yeah, because I
I
think.
see that would work. I would be okay with just something. It doesn't have to be a whole extended thing. It could just be something simple, something small, but just give us something to work with, something to conclude some stuff, and then leave the things that can be interpreted like later, like what happens after. That's for you to interpret. But after that movie releases, after that animation set of episodes releases. But after that, then I'd be completely fine with how everything goes.
Yeah, likewise. So yeah, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, just the end of the day, we'll just have to wait and see where it all like goes. I mean, maybe something will happen after like Darren finishes up. I mean, I'm still curious to know what is she doing at like Nickelodeon. Like, is she making like a new show or something like that? So, I mean,
That's the thing. It's like we know she's doing that, but we don't know what she's doing
mm-hmm,
exactly. And that's the takeaway, is that we don't know what it is. Is it going to be something like a spiritual successor to Starverse is? Is she going to be able to actually pursue that idea she originally had that was supposed to be Star, but ended up being, Star instead? Um, it could be just something completely different. But I mean, it's something worth looking forward to because, again, if she was able to create this show with the crew that she had at her disposal, everybody did a great job with the voice acting, the animation, storyboarding, everything. Who's to say that this new project won't have that much success as much as, Star Versus? She might even make references within the show.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think you were getting at how the original idea of Star was supposed to be a character who thought she had magical powers and had a cat named Cashew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, I honestly could see something like, especially since Darren has a cat named Cashew, so it's like
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, whatever this future show is, I mean, who knows if it's gonna be like another like Star versus kind of show, or is it gonna be closer to that original idea? So like, there's things like that that I could still see being used in a future project.
Well, one way to find out is just to wait until she releases stuff. Or,
Mm-hmm.
well, rather Nickelodeon, because it's up to them to release it. But once
Yeah.
she's done with the project, we'll see
Mm-hmm.
how that turns out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So we'll just have to see how that goes. I mean, I think overall in the end, we're still very much into Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and I yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So I think I'll end things off here. So yeah. Once again, thank you, Chris, for coming on and talking about the two Blood Moon episodes, as well as our thoughts on what we would like to see on the future of Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
No problem. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad to be here, and it's always nice to have a conversation about something of interest. And again, like, I'm pretty sure everybody has their own opinions of how the show went, how it could have gone, what could have been done better. But just in general, just having that community of there is really nice. And who knows, it could grow to be something better. And as time passes by, everything seems to be still alive in spirit. So who's to say Star Versus won't be one of those things where it just transcends our like own life expectancy. It could be something that carries over till the next generation. So it's just a matter of time to see how it all goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm still hopeful. I still sometimes get comments like people asking me, "What do you think like could happen from Star?" Which we talked about. I mean, future sequel series, or movie, I would like, I'm really open for anything like that. So yeah, so thank you, Chris, for coming on. If for anybody else down below in the comments, if you're watching the stream after it's finished, if you would like to give your own ideas, feel free to leave them in the comment section. So yeah, so until next video, this has been Chris and Bloodman Bobby, and we'll see you all later.
Right.
Right.
Take it
Cool.
easy.
Yeah. So thanks, Chris, for coming on. Glad you could make it.
And no problem. Glad to
All
be
right.
here.
Okay. All right. Take care.